Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Mint Luxury Conference presented by Vendis in association with CNBC TV18. On this week's episode, we bring you exclusive interviews from the biggest style icons in the luxury market. But before that, here's a recap of the last episode.
New stylists who are now just kind of making names for themselves, you could say.
Two things we address is one is how do you make single brands from abroad, make them easy for them to come in, and secondly, how do you allow Indian brands to grow and expand?
Thank you so much for talking to us, Lara. It's a pleasure having you on our show. You know, being a celebrity and, of course, being associated with the fashion and the films and luxury, of course, how much do you think you can influence, the people to follow a certain amount of style or,
Well, I think, in our country, there's absolutely no doubt about it that Bollywood is one of the biggest influencers, when it comes to across the board, whether it's fashion or if it's luxury. Actors and celebrities are aspiring. People, they see what their favorite, celebrity is wearing, and that's what they want to wear. They see what they're, whether it comes, it's not just about clothes, it's about accessories. Tomorrow Hrithik Roshan can go cycling, and then everybody wants to know what cycle it was, and that's the one that they want to buy. And so we're huge influencers, and I think that also comes with its own social and moral responsibility. What is it? And I think a lot of the actors have been very, very vocal about products that they will not endorse, and things that they do not align themselves with. And I think that's very important to have that kind of responsibility.
Right, absolutely. So what are your do's and don'ts, as a brand?
Well, I've always said that I'm very, very picky about the brands that I endorse, and I always feel that this is something that I should be able to utilize or want to utilize in my life. Whether it is, a gluten-free, God only knows what. Today there's such a big fad on healthy eating, so a lot of products that are in the market today that cater to various different diets and allergies and things like that, but is something suited to you. So for me, it's important to know whether this is something that I would put into my own system, or even more so into the system of my family, the people that you love, or just products that you feel that, yes, this is something that I align myself with, this is something that I see myself using. So if there's ever anything that I just do not see myself utilizing, I will not endorse it.
Well, we've seen over the last couple of years in Bollywood, the concept of stylists have emerged. But due to the social media, do you think celebrities face a lot of flack in terms of, people have come, it's not only the media or, critics, but it's also the people who come out and say, oh my gosh, she was looking horrible on the red carpet, etc.
I think there's a positive and a negative to it. Of course, the negative to it is exactly that, that in the social media bombardment that happens, people today are liking, unliking, passing comments, and it's immediate. The good thing about it, though, is that it's immediate, so if it's your image today that they're passing a comment on, earlier on it used to be if you're news today, somebody else will be in the news tomorrow, but now if you're in the news now, in the next 5 minutes, somebody else is going to be in the news, So it has its positives and its negatives. I think, but also the emergence of a fashion stylist has really come about because of this, and that, access to designer clothing, the designers want their products to be seen. They understand the importance of social media marketing today. They're reaching a much larger audience than they ever could previously because of social media. So they want the celebrities to be seen. The celebrity wants to have access to as many designers as possible, and the stylist bridges that gap. So it's But it's also the fact that for designers, we were talking about today, for them to be able to keep up, because something that is, we've seen last week is already passé this week. There's a new fad, there's a new trend, so that's so much more pressure on the entire industry to constantly reinvent themselves.
Absolutely. But as a celebrity, how difficult is it for you to reach out to an international, say a designer, who finds it very difficult to come and market their clothes in India?
It's not anymore. I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. You know, that at the end of the day, it's so easy today with your social media following that you have. I mean, you know, we have actors today in the industry who say, you know, I have 11 million and, you know, 3 million and, you know, whatever. So even internationally, designers know. Today, it's very easy to know exactly who a Katrina Kaif or a Priyanka Chopra or an Amitabh Bachchan is. I mean, they're not just names that you know, whatever. I mean, you log on and you've got everything. So anybody at the end of the day who wants to establish a presence here in India wants their clothes to be worn. You know, luxury houses want their brands carried by celebrities and actors, and I think that whole world has just shrunk and come, you know, that like it's about that big right now.
What would you have to say about a luxury mint conference? Do you think this is the need of the hour in India, where we get the who's who of the luxury and the style fraternity in India and actually discuss it and think about the way forward?
Well, I think for people like us who are very interested in the way forward, into the business of fashion, into the whole new paths of creativity, and I think it's a great platform. I think it's a great thing to do to get people from different walks of life concerning luxury and movies and clothes and, you know, and various aspects of luxury and retail. I think it's a great platform for us to meet and discuss and hear each other. And I think that travel is, like, I think, according to me, the best knowledge. And you're actually getting people under you know, one roof, and I think it almost seems like different worlds put together for this one day. It's a great thing, a great event that Mint Luxury Conference is all about, and I wish it was for 2 days and not just one.
Absolutely. Well, being a designer and so closely associated with Bollywood, how much do you see your clothes or Bollywood celebrities influencing the masses in terms of luxury, in terms of style?
I think India is about cricket. India is about food, India is about color, India is about movies. So I think movies plays a great part. My journey is very different because I started as a costume designer. For many years I only did movies. Movie after movie, I traveled because of films. I learned so much on the job. And then I went on to starting a retail boutique and then launching my own label, which is now 10 years old. And I think it's very influential. I think because of my popularity as a designer, my work is influential, and I think I would love to reach out to as many people as I can. That is the reason that I have a brand today and a label today.
How do you tackle plagiarism? There are a lot of not only designers, but when you go to the smaller shops, people go and ask for a Manish Malhotra lehenga and you get a duplicate or whatever that they call it. How do you tackle all of that?
So for me, from a critique to another designer saying something nasty, to a client throwing a massive tantrum, to to my clothes being copied, it's all out of focus. What is focused for me is what next I'm going to do. I feel the people who are copying, you won't be able to copy everything if you keep reinventing or keep getting your craft better. And that's where it is.
Absolutely. But does that dampen your business?
Somewhere I'm sure it does. But should I follow that, or should I follow getting more and more variety and more interesting variations so that it doesn't dampen my business? So I'd rather concentrate on the second.
But the consumers have increased tremendously. And do you think it is not only the money spending power, but also the fact that they see value in these luxury brands, that they want to go and invest in it?
3 years ago, I thought the consumer was changing, getting very knowledgeable, wanting to spend. But as we stand today and we speak today, I feel that the consumer is confused. There is just too much. There is just too many stylists. There is too much information. There's too much going on. So your buyer is confused. Good side of it is the bride who came with her entire family almost comes alone today, or with maybe her mother or her sister. But she has too much on her display. She has just too much available. So she's confused. It's like entering a mall which has that many stores. You just say, okay, I'll come back for a cup of coffee, and you never come back. So that pushes the designer, senior or junior, to be very quick with change, quality, and good pricing. So that's very, very important. And I think that's something that the world is facing today. So I think that however the price, like as we say, I think awareness has increased. Yes, buying power has increased. But also the business is getting divided. Because people are looking at versatility, they're looking at being different every day, they're not shying away from textile or being sequenced or blingy or anything, which is a good thing. I think it's great. But however, it's also that the brands will eventually a bit suffer because it is getting divided. It's like one, which is fair. That's the way forward now. Versatility is the way forward.
It's time for a short break, but the conversations continue on the other side. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to the special episode of Mint Luxury Conference presented by Avendus in association with CNBC TV18. Our conversations continue with the who's who of the luxury market as they share their thoughts on the way forward.
Hi Donna, welcome to India.
Oh, thank you.
What brings you to India?
The luxury conference. But I love your country. I love the artisans of the country. I love the people of the country, and it's very inspirational.
Are you working with artisans in India?
Here we go. I'm wearing one right now.
Is this
we
yours?
sell amazing, yes, Urban Zen. We sell amazing scarves, one of a kind, hand loomed, which is absolutely beautiful. I had met Sadhguru. He came to Urban Zen one day to do a training. I had actually met him through somebody else, and he walked in and I said, my God, where'd you get that scarf? He said, if you come to my ashram, I'll show you where the scarves come from. So I went to the ashram, and the next thing I know, I was shopping for over 3 weeks. And then what I did, instead of doing clothes, I just created this entire store of scarves that I had purchased one by one. And I said, you could drape them, you can wrap them, you could do everything you can with a scarf, which I think is probably one of the most important things of what I, totally inspired by India.
And in the studio you teach yoga as well, which comes from India.
Absolutely.
But you sold your business last year, and I wanted to ask you, are you in a transitionary phase for that? Like, do they come to you and ask you, are you doing a hand-holding?
We sold the company to LVMH, and LVMH came in about 15 years ago, right when my husband passed away. And that's when I told them that I had this vision for Urban Zen. And while I was running Urban Zen and Donna Karan and DKNY, at a certain point of your life, you realize, okay, where is my focus? And I was spending so much time because Urban Zen was a newborn baby, it needed more of my time. So I decided, every year I said, okay, this is my last collection. And finally, I said it this year. I was writing my autobiography.
Which I believe we can buy on Amazon.
Yeah, my journey. And I didn't realize while I was writing it, I wanted to actually offer to everybody what my life was all about, and the journey of my life. And I didn't realize that I'd be leaving the company on the last chapter. So my last chapter was due. I was walking away from the company, and oh my God, what am I going to say? How do I do this?
So did you write the last chapter as it was happening, or did you?
Well, that was the problem, because as it was happening, my book was due.
Oh, so you had to keep changing it?
So I put in the book with another last chapter. But I said, I'm not finished with the book yet. And I couldn't tell anybody why I wasn't finished with the book. So I had to postpone it for a few months.
Yeah.
And when the final decisions were made, I wrote the last chapter.
In your interaction, have you felt that maybe they're all just focusing on the big fat Indian wedding? You go into any Indian designer's boutique, it's all about weddings. Hopefully you'll have only one wedding, right? So do you think they need to go out and have more?
Well, how many people do you have in this country? And you imagine every child, and every child is getting married, and your weddings are truly unique.
Yeah.
You think about everything you need for the wedding, every person who's going there. It's a lot of wedding dresses. There is a
margin business.
There is definitely a business for that, but at the same time, there is definitely I see a lot of changing happening in fashion done here in India. I love it.
It's been 13 years since you sold your company, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but I consulted to the company for a number of years during a transitional period so that there would be a smooth transition. And we still have conversations about, what the company is doing and what my opinions are on all of that.
And do you design at all for the company?
No, I don't design. I just did all the designing I wanted to do all my life. Now what I want to impart is through educating students, from very young students in underprivileged neighborhoods to university graduates in architecture, in design, communications, all the things that I touched on in my business. So I feel that's my way of giving back and helping inform people of what I know.
Is that the new way to go, the way the Japanese are doing with these new textiles, the textile engineering that we're seeing? Is that the future of fashion?
The way to go is to find something that people need but didn't know they needed, to give them luxury at great value, at prices that many people can afford. I used as an example earlier that you can buy a cashmere sweater at Hermes in Paris, and you can buy a cashmere sweater at Uniqlo, and they're both cashmere. There are many different ways of knitting it, washing it, and so forth and so on, but it's still luxury. Cashmere is luxury. And so today, you can have luxury at very affordable prices, or you can have the ultimate in quality, which I like to think of as sustainable clothing. Clothes that I made, I wanted women to be able to wear them for 10 years or 15 years, not to go out of style every 6 months.
Has the internet and social media actually made the runway redundant? Do you see the Milan Fashion Week, for example, going forward being as relevant as it is today?
Yes. The runway is relevant. The timing is what's in question. And I think what we will see is that the clothes will be on the runway when the clothes are in the stores.
Not 6 months in advance.
No.
As is the case.
That's old-fashioned, and that's something the stores created themselves, and it was a huge mistake.
And do you think it would have been, given this internet boom, the social media boom, do you think it would be easier to become a famous fashion designer today?
No, I don't see what difference it makes. Yeah. No, I think whether you're competing with Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, fashion magazines all around the world, newspaper critics everywhere, or television or social media, what's the difference? It's a way of communicating to the world what you do. The problem with social media is it's all amateur. It's all badly done.
You clearly don't like social media.
Well, I like it. If I were doing it, I would do something, and I've seen, wonderful photographs on social media. But those photographs, they're not trying to sell something. But if you wanted to sell something, I don't see, there's nothing I see that I would buy based on people taking selfies of themselves. That's embarrassing, actually.
And you said your daughter had problems going out and seeing her father's name.
She's going to kill me for this, because she said, Time magazine asked her years ago, they said, well, how do you feel with your father's name on everyone's underwear? She said, let me tell you, she says, when I go to bed with someone and they're wearing my dad's underwear, she says, I keep thinking, oh, he sees what's going on.
And on that note, Calvin, I'm going to thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It's been all my pleasure. I love being here, and thank you. I've enjoyed this so much.
That's all that we have time for. I hope you enjoyed watching Avendus Presents Mint Luxury Conference in association with CNBC TV 18. From the entire team, goodbye and thanks for watching.
innovate, enable.